number of people on the network. Maybe I was trying to celebrate. The last I heard we had 587 families, and I know it takes a calculator, and I won't. I think 587 is close enough, and if Mary comes up with a number later, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. See, we'll take. But it's good to have you. We're gonna study the Krishna tonight. It's very uncommon for people in our Western culture to really look at the teachings of Krishna. Quite foreign to us. And yet, when you begin to look and study these things, you realize, as we sit with a Bible in our hands, that much of what your belief is based on emanated or started with the teachings of Krishna. So let's look at the Bhagavad Gita, and you have in your hands here a sheet titled or labeled page 60. And let's take a look at it. And we'll read 60, verse 1. Krishna says, "He who acts because it is his duty, not thinking of the consequences, is really spiritual and a true ascetic, and not he who merely observes rituals or shuns all action." How different that is, isn't it? He who acts because it is his duty, not one who is trying to get something out of his actions. Not someone who's ministering to people because he's going to prove a point or get people inspired or get people say. He's doing something because this is the thing to do, because it's the right thing to do. It's something that you have to do. It's like we say in the wedding ceremony when the little flower has to give out a beautiful scent. It doesn't make any difference if you come along or not. That flower will give out the scent. If a little skunk trots by, it'll still receive the beautiful scent of the flower. The flower doesn't discriminate and say, "Oh, I'm going to wait until somebody comes along with money, and then I'll really give out a nice scent." It just gives it out. So that's basically what's being said here. He who acts because it's his duty. And in 61 it says, is a true ascetic. That word ascetic means one who denies self, say. Not he who merely observes rituals or shuns all action. What you're looking at from Krishna is really a description of the depth of spirit. The reason we act is to carry out the will of inner spirit. It's totally separated from our desire to accomplish. And what is Christianity's desire? I mean, as you come in Christianity today, your desire is to be saved. I mean, you want to find salvation. Your desire is to go to heaven. So everything then you do is done out of the desire to make sure that you're saved, that you go to heaven. And I mean, you'll kill to protect yourself and to protect that salvation. And we do. Religion really goes after it. Religion will go after one another, you see. We become, what do we then become? We become totally self-centered. Totally self-centered. Because our whole life is based around, if you see them come on television, they'll say, "When were you saved?" I mean, "I'm saved." It doesn't make any difference that we have struggled in this magnificent planet Earth through war after war after war, and starvation of children, and abuse of elderly people, and destruction of teenage people. It doesn't make any difference. It's "I'm saved," see. And that when you get to that point, you become so totally self-centered, but you become totally outside of the realm of spirit. That's what's being said here. That's what's being addressed. You become religious. We become Christian. And as soon as you become Christian and you attach that label to yourself, you are now out of step with millions of Muslims, millions of Buddhists, millions of Hindus. Everybody has split up into camps. The most beautiful time in the life of a human being is instantly when you come from the womb. You are accepted by everybody because you don't have a label. But then somebody names you. See? And if you have an Italian name, you are now set aside for millions of people who don't like Italians. If you have a Jewish name, millions of people who, before you had that label, everybody loved you. But then somebody called you Mr. Scapalucci. You know what they are. Or your little Jerome Ginsburg. Everybody now sets themselves up. Something's wrong with you because you've got a label on you. You've got a label on you. And so here in the same way, you go into your spiritual, and what do? You don't consume yourself deep within the spirit of nirvana, of nothingness. You've got a title. I'm a Christian. I'm a born-again Christian. You know, that has taken on such connotations now that I cringe when one comes near me. I have a difficult time with it. Because, you know, there's so much attached to it from television of people with their hands in other people's pockets and judging people and so forth and so on, that it becomes difficult a lot of times to just, you just want to say, well, just be a human being, you know, just be a person. Don't be anything. Don't, you know, just be a person. Be nice without having a title upon yourself that you have to cast on somebody. But what we'll do is we'll go and we'll totally protect ourselves, and we'll totally protect this thing of self. I've got to maintain myself as a born-again Christian. I've got to maintain myself as whatever I am, and I've got to maintain myself in my salvation. Let's take a look at those little Bibles. You got the blue ones now, okay? Page 843. You can go right to page 843 in those little blue Bibles. And let's take a look in the Bible, and it's in the book of Luke. Luke chapter 9. It should be easy for you to find. Just go to page 843. Luke chapter 9. And if we'll go to verse 23, and here's the admonition from Jesus Christ, which goes together with what Krishna has told us in the very beginning here. Krishna says, he who acts because it is his duty, not thinking of the consequences, and is really, truly spiritual, in other words, denies himself. And here in Luke 9:23, it says, and Jesus Christ said, if any man will come on after me, let him deny himself, take up the cross and follow me. So what is your salvation all about? Your salvation is irrelevant to Jesus. He could care less. Say, deny yourself, he says. In other words, it's not important that you're saved. It is important that you eliminate yourself so that that inner self becomes the Christ self, which then emanates out of you to help those who surround you. It's not important what happens to us, because if we're truly entering deep within that spiritual realm of ours, nature takes care of us. God takes care of us. The Creator takes care of us. So let's take a look then at 60, verse 2. Oh, Arjuna. Now, you remember in this story, Arjuna is your personality, that aspect of your consciousness that can be united with God. Renunciation is, in fact, what is called right action. No one can become spiritual who has not renounced all desire. What do you call that right action? You see it so much in the Bible. Righteousness. 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 See, that's what we call it. Now let's take a look at this. Righteousness is what the Bible calls it. Krishna calls it right action. And let's take a trip through the Bible, and let's see where it comes from. Let's go to page 886 in those little Bibles, and the rest of you go to John chapter 21. John chapter 21. Now here's Jesus Christ. And in a little symbolic language, he's going to share with you, he's going to instruct you on where you can find that which is the true life force within you. Okay. John 21 and verse 6. And Jesus comes down to the fishermen and he says, cast your net on the right side, and you will find. And he's not a magician. He's not down there to help people catch fish. He's down there for a specific purpose. And he's down there speaking to you, and if you understand the mystical implications of the word fish, that has to do with spiritual, and he said, cast your net to the right side and you will find. And this is in the Bible. Now, how do I know, though? I mean, how can I say he's not talking about fish? Let me just give you a little thing that you may have seen before, but it doesn't hurt to go over it again. The number 9, okay, in the Bible, the number 9, mystically, means the human mind. Okay? The number 9 means consciousness. It means the human mind. It comes because the word Adam has a value of 9, and it means it's the Sanskrit value of 9, which means the lower consciousness, the mind, the earth. Okay? Now, using that number 9, you then are able to get into the book of Revelation, and you can see, let's break some codes here. Here's one that you've seen in movies, and you've seen it all of your life. 666. The beast. 6 plus 6 plus 6 equals 18. 1 plus 8 equals 9. There we know. We've identified the beast as the human mind. And in the very next sentence, after it says 666 is the beast, it says 144,000 are saved. Okay? 1 plus 4 plus 4 equals 9. Okay? So now when Jesus Christ, in this little sentence that you've just read, says, okay, cast your net to the right side and you'll find. Let's see if we can determine without any doubt that he's not talking about fish, he's not talking about a boat, let's see that if we can come up with a conclusion that he's talking about consciousness, you will find within you something very special. Take a look here, John 21, right where you are. You don't have to move, but you're at verse 6. Go up to verse 11, okay? And then maybe you want to shout it out. John 21, verse 11. Simon Peter went up, drew the net to land full of great fish. How many fish did he catch? 153. Let's add it up. 1 plus 5 plus 3, 9. And it'll work that way at any part of the Bible because the Bible is speaking in symbolic terms and using numerology. And what Jesus is saying, if you will cast your energy to the right hemisphere of the brain, you'll find what we call God. Okay? Otherwise, why count the fish? Was it really a really important thing to put into the Bible? And I mean, 153 fish. Not 152, not 150, 153 fish. And basically then, we come to the conclusion as we look at these types of things that there's more on the pages of the Bible. There's more on the pages of the Bhagavad Gita. There's more on the pages of the sutras or the Vedas than you can see with the human eyes. You have to look at this stuff with the single eye. Okay? See, now when we get here, I say, how do you get to the right hemisphere? How can you cast your net to the right side? All right? Well, we got the number 9. And the way that you get to the right hemisphere, cast your net to the right hemisphere, is very simple. Here's a picture of you. Got a puss on. Okay? This is the left side. I'm looking this way. Okay? This is the right side. This is the Garden of Eden. Remember something. Whenever you look north, east is always on the right side. That's why in the book of Genesis, when the Garden of Eden was, it said he made a garden eastward in Eden. That's right here. Looking north, east is on the right side. The right hemisphere of your brain is the Garden of Eden. Okay? How do you get there? This is 10% of your brain, 10% of your mind right over here. And the Bible admonishes you, you must tithe. You must tithe. And tithing is you must give 10% of that which grows out of the earth. That's where it originated in ancient times. They would take 10% of the land, and they would not till that land. They would leave that land alone and let it rest. And tithing is that symbol of mystical application. Leave the left side alone and let it rest, and the right side will become activated. And you do that in meditation. Okay. So that's how you cast your net to the right side, by tithing. But it has nothing whatsoever to do with giving money. It has with giving yourself. And you tithe the 10% or the left side when you meditate. Okay? Now, this next thing we're going to cover is extremely important for all of you because I want you to understand something. What you're looking at is wisdom that was composed 7,000 years ago. 5,000 years before Jesus was born. This was written through Krishna. Okay? This is how ancient it is. Now take a look at this. Let's look at 60 verse 3. For the sage, the word sage means a wise person. The sage who seeks the heights of spiritual meditation. Watch this next one. Practice is the only method. And when he has attained them, he must maintain himself there by continual self-control. You're going to meditate Tuesday night and say, well, I did it. It's just like an elevator. It's just like a Ferris wheel. It'll take you right up to the top where you can see all over the place. But you're going to wind up right back where you got on, right down in the pits. Okay? Read that again. There's so many thousands of years. For the wise person who seeks the heights of spiritual meditation, practice is the only method. Do it. And when he has attained them, he must maintain himself there by continual self-control. What did Jesus say? The way is narrow, and few there be who find it. But everybody goes to church. If they're not going to a church, they're going to a temple, they're going to a synagogue. Everybody in the world goes to some kind of a thing. But yet, he says here, few there be who find it. It's a narrow pathway, which is the inner pathway through meditation, which has no allegiance to any religion, has no allegiance to any church. It's a very private, a very personal affair which involves you and the energy within you raising itself up into that higher realms which we call nirvana, or which Jesus called the kingdom of within, the upper room. Okay? The way is narrow. And then, of course, Jesus Christ told you. What did he say? This is what he said. You know, when you, sometimes during the Christmas stories, you know, you're getting involved and you study the Christmas story, you always hear about the first ones to see the little baby Jesus are the shepherds. Why? Because they keep watch over their sheep at night. Sheep in the Bible mean thoughts. They always jump. That's why, you know, when you dream of sheep jumping over a fence. Did you ever hear about that? Okay, those are your thoughts. You're going to keep watch of your thoughts. And what's being said in that Christmas story is, during the dark times in meditation, if you'll keep watch over your thoughts in meditation, you'll be the first one. You'll see the Christ child. You'll be the first. But only if you do that. There's no way you're going to see him unless you watch those sheep, unless you watch those thoughts. Okay. So what did Jesus say? Jesus turns around. Let's take a look at it. It's on page 825 in those little Bibles you got there. It's pretty easy now, isn't it, with the new page numbers? You don't have to say old and new. But anyhow, page 825, Mark 13. And here's what Jesus Christ says to you in verse 37. Okay? Mark 13, verse 37. And it's on page 825. Jesus Christ says, "And what I say unto you, Joe, I say unto all, watch." Watch. Within yourself. And why is it such a struggle? I mean, you're going to get involved. I mean, is this such a cult that you're supposed to sit still and watch within yourself? Is that such an evil thing? Is it such an overbearing thing to ask people to just be still for a while and watch within themselves? I mean, isn't it important that you pay as much attention to the inside as you do to the outside? Much more important, because the outside reflects the inside. And what goes on in the inside will pour out on the outside. And so here, Krishna is telling you, Jesus is telling you, what you've got to do is watch within yourself. And that's meditation. Practice the single eye. What I say to you, I say to all, watch. And look what it says in 60, verse 3 of Krishna. And when he has attained them, what's he talking about? Them. Spiritual heights. You want to raise yourself up. You want to start having spiritual thoughts. You want to start to have understanding. Don't you want to know? I mean, how long have you gone through this life and never even questioned why you were born? For what? Remember, let's go through our little routine here. Let's have a couple of new folks here. Let's go through our little... Anybody know what this is? Speaker. You know what it's for. Plays the music. Look at a tree to decorate this. Here, to hold this is to hold the mess. The carpets to cover the floor. Here, look at little things to gong gong. Make nice noise. Here, you know what these are? Lights. So look at here. Here's a chair. You know what a chair for? Chairs to sit in. You know what the screws are for inside the chair? The screws are to hold the chair together. You know what everything. Look at. There is not one thing you can look around in this room that you don't know what it's for. Now here's your challenge. Take a round, turn around, look at the person sitting next to you. For what? The most magnificent creation in the universe. And nobody knows what the heck it's for. You know what the screws are for in this chair. Huh? You know what everything is for. Everything. Look at the camera, the shirt, the ceiling. You know what everything's for. But you don't know what yourself is for, and you don't know what the person's thinking. And nobody ever stops to find out. You have no idea. So you say, well, you scratch your head and say, well, you know, we better start to concentrate a little bit on here, and maybe I can find out. You can. You can actually understand why you are here, why the universe is here. You know, Joan was telling me coming over in the car, and we heard it on the radio, the television or something, that people are being very frightened because it looks like there's a part of the ozone is going to split apart. That's devastating. That millions of years of magnificent creation to form this thing, to protect all life, and we get with our aerosol cans and all of our exhaust, and we're going to blow a hole in it in 100 years. We destroyed everything. Everything has been abused and destroyed and hurt on our planet. And your job is to yield yourself so that the Christ may live within you and that you may function as Christ. You may function as God. And I don't really care what those people say. If they say you're God and they say, well, you think you're God. You say, I don't think anything. I know it. And that'll really freak them out. And that's okay. Let them run. It doesn't make any difference anymore. But how can you be God? You are God when you relinquish yourself. When you relinquish that 10% and there is nothing more of you, then all that is left is God. Because God is in everything. God, the essence of what we call God, permeates everything that exists in the universe. If God is outside of anything, then he can't be God. He's got to be in everything. So therefore, when there is no more of you in here, God exists. And you become God. Because you're not there. It's like the Apostle Paul said, it is no longer I who live, it is the Christ who lives within me, because I have the mind of Christ. And all it requires you to do is sit on the floor or sit on a chair and start seeking within yourself, and we don't even have time to do that. Some people are going to say, well, what do you recommend? 40-minute meditations, 2 hours? I recommend 15 seconds. 15 seconds. The universe doesn't need 45 minutes or 2 hours. 15 seconds. And do you know what? It's too much. Do you know that most of us, even us that come here, are so busy, we don't even have 15 seconds? Too much. Too much. So we got to start taking a look then. And here's what it says in 60 verse 3. When he has attained these spiritual heights, he must maintain himself by continual self-control. You're going to do it. Because you know what's happening to you? You're getting older. I notice it sometimes when I look up here. It's waving goodbye. You know? And then I look, that's not a wrinkle. Do you ever notice down here, you go like this? You know, you hear about Joan Rivers or something, and they do this stuff. You know, how do they do that? Maybe I use a clothespin. I shouldn't spend so much money. I'll go like that. I look young. What is happening? Because you start winding down. See? The old car. You know what happens when you get an old car? Well, this body is just a car with, different looking car. You know, your cylinder, you start backfiring and you start snorting and you're not running on all 8 and, you start slowing down and get a flat tire once in a while, lose a headlight, a bumper gets rusty and all of this stuff happens. Exactly happens to you. That happens to me. So, you say, where am I going with this thing? I tell the people on television, you're looking for security. Do you ever notice these people say, I want my children to have security? We're all living on a tennis ball flying through the earth, going 40,000 miles an hour, nobody driving it, and you're looking for security. Where are you going to get security? So what do you should be looking for? Get back and allow yourself to be one with that which is the Creator, the nature, the natural Creator. Okay? And here's a very important statement that Jesus Christ made. You come in here, you start to learn this stuff. As soon as you get somebody's out there to peck your head away, don't listen to this stuff, you don't even know. Half the time, hey, maybe he is nuts. Maybe he's crazy down here. Well, all this stuff, I shouldn't listen to this stuff. That's what Jesus Christ said. Take a look at page 844 in those little Bibles, and let's go to Luke chapter 9. 844 in the little Bibles, Luke chapter 9. And this goes to, and this is what I ask you. I have asked you constantly, and I've taught you constantly, follow Jesus Christ by not sticking his name on bumper stickers, but read what he says, do what he says. Once you start to find this direction, the reason you're sitting in this room is because you have been prompted by the Spirit within to hear, not to follow here because you may never come back here again. You don't sign any cards here. You don't have to give your name here. You come and go. It's open to the public. You may never come back, but you still may find within yourself that holy place. And Jesus Christ is saying this in Luke chapter 9, verse 62. No man, or I'll add woman, having put his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom. When you put your hand to the plow, when you start into your meditation, don't look back. Don't look back. Because looking back means you're starting to think, I wonder if this is right. I wonder if this is a cult. I wonder all of this stuff. When you put your hand to the plow, don't look back. That was the story of the lady going up, turning into the pillar of salt and all that kind of stuff. It was the same thing. It's that turning around and being prompted to return by those who are not tuned into this. So you can't say, I have attained unless you maintain yourself. Unless you meditate, and unless you do your meditation daily, and you should come out here on Tuesday nights. I don't care what you say. I don't care what's that important. And you're certainly not here for money. The place is open, the meditation, the Spirit just permeates every inch of this room. You should be here. And the reason that you should be here is to protect yourself from all of the stuff that goes on out there. Once you put your hand to the plow, don't turn back. You know, when you talk about turning back and falling from those levels of consciousness where you might arrive at, take a look at page 551. We'll go to the Old Testament. I want to take you to a look at the book of Proverbs, okay? Page 551. And Proverbs chapter 14, there is a statement that's made in the Bible. And Proverbs chapter 14, verse 14. They call it the backslider, you know. Backslider means you have raised yourself to high realms of consciousness, and you slide right back. Because you don't continue doing it. You give up, you quit. You see, because you're sitting down and you're hearing the music, or you're hearing the sounds of meditation. You say, I didn't get anything out of that. It's raining tonight. It's cool tonight. It's hot tonight. The mosquitoes are out. I don't want to. I turn on the television. You nod off. Another day wasted in Happy Land. Another day down the toilet. It's just like taking your life and every day going and flush the toilet. And away it goes and it'll never come back again. It's gone. Absolutely gone. And you could have been in the middle of this spirit. You could have been in the middle of this magnificence. You could have been in the middle of this shaking down, and you could have been in the middle of this instruction from Jesus Christ to lift yourself. So you should. But it says, verse 14, chapter 14, the backslider in heart shall be filled with his own ways, and a good man shall be satisfied from himself. So if we don't maintain our high, we will slip. There's got to be continual self-control. There's got to be continual meditation. Look at 60, verse 4 in Krishna. When a man renounces even the thought of initiating action, when he's not interested in sense objects or any results which may flow from his acts, then in truth he understands spirituality. What did Jesus Christ say in Matthew 6:25 to 6:33? Take no thought, take no thought, take no thought, take no thought. What did Buddha say? Isn't it a little weird when you realize that thinking was what screwed your life up in the first place, that now you're trying to think your way out of it? Isn't that a little ridiculous? So what does he say? Shut that thing off. You know, some of you are sitting in this room right now, and that guy's talking to you. You got conversations going on in your head right now. And when you go up the stairs, he'll be talking. You got all night to listen to him. When you lay down to bed, you say, now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. He'll say, shut up. I got to tell you something about yourself. You're a jerk. And you hear it in your head. Oh, I don't know why I feel this way. Yeah, you feel this way because you forgot that that's why you feel this way. In here, you all this put down goes all the time. And what does Jesus say? Take no thought. Don't listen to it. That's what fasting is all about. What do you think? Fasting. I'm not going to eat a chocolate bar. I'm not going to have any popcorn. I'm going to show them. Fasting, as Jesus said, has nothing to do with what you put in your mouth. It is swallow. You ever say, did you ever people fasting, somebody say, how can you swallow that stuff? I mean, this bull this guy gives you. How can you swallow that stuff? Man, you swallow that hook, line, and sinker. You know what Jesus is saying? Don't let it get in you. That's fasting. The thoughts that come from your mind, fast from those. Huh? Could be. Oh. Let me try that again. Fast. Yeah. Now listen, but if I do it, I want everybody to do it too, because yeah. Forget that. Okay.
Billy, heart is mind, right?
Yes. Heart is mind. Look, 64. When he is not interested in sense objects or the results which may flow from them, then in truth you understand spirituality. Then you understand that all result comes not from emotion, comes not from thought, but it comes from that level that is dwelling in you high above the thoughts of the lower mind. Isaiah 26:3 says, thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. You know what that means? whose mind is stayed on the higher thing. Well, you can't stay in that way constantly, but you can make a balance. You can spend time in meditation to balance. You can allow that to cool down. You can allow yourself to spend time deep in the recesses of meditation. Even if it's 15 seconds, you've allowed a cooling period of time. You've allowed a restful period of time for the mind. Thou will keep him in perfect peace. That's what Christianity's failure is. Jesus Christ says, trust me, practice the single eye. This is what, listen, I'll tell you a secret. In the Bible, Jesus Christ said, the kingdom of God is within you. That's what he said, Luke 17:21. Now, Jesus Christ said, if you practice the single eye, do you ever see the dot in the middle of a Hindu's forehead? Do you ever see the back of a $1 bill, the picture? I was grabbing the wallet. On the back of a $1 bill? Okay. That's the single eye. That's the thing. Now, Jesus Christ says you take away the key of knowledge because you don't enter within yourself. He's saying you should enter within yourself. You should practice the single eye. You should take no thought. Christianity, which calls themselves by his name, says what? Don't do that. Don't do that because you'll open your mind to demons. What? Look at Al Benson. Take a picture of Al Benson. Take a picture of Al Benson. See, could this man have demons? Obviously not. There's none of you. There is no such thing. There is no such thing. There are no such things as demons. There is no such things as devils. There is no such place as hell. All of this is made up by misunderstanding symbolic language of the Bible so it could scare the pants off of you and keep you under the control of some group or organization. Okay? So Jesus says, take no thought. But they say, you can open your mind to devils. Did you ever hear that? Oh, don't meditate. You'll open your mind to demons. Jesus Christ said, if you ask your Father for a fish, he's not going to send you a serpent. And so everything that Jesus says, the religion that calls themselves by his name, comes contrary. Look at 60 verse 5. Let him seek liberation. Now, I'm going to show you something very interesting. Let him seek liberation by the help of his highest self. That's your highest mind, the higher consciousness. And let him never disgrace his own self. For that self is his only friend. Yet it may also be his enemy. See that? Did you think of this? Look at this word, disgracing. Disgracing yourself. How could that be? How could that be? You know why? I'll tell you what this is. Jesus Christ says the kingdom of God is in you. John 14:20 says Christ is in you. John 14:23 says the Father, God, dwells in you. 2 Corinthians 16 says you are the temple. Okay? You are the temple. But religion says, no, there are demons in there. You can open yourself to devils. You know what that is? Do you know what they do when they say that? That's blasphemy. That is blasphemy. It is blasphemy to say that you could open your mind to devils when Jesus says the kingdom of God is within you. He's in you. The Father is in you. You are the temple of the Most High. And religion, which calls itself by his name, says, no, if you go into that temple, there are demons in there. That's blasphemy. That's disgracing yourself. And who ordains that kind of rot? People from church. People from religion. I'm born again. Born again, not to trust the Christ who says, you are the light of the world. Inside of you is the mystery of the universe. Inside of you will be the explosion of the temple of God to make things right. And they say, oh, no. That's disgracing yourself. And Krishna says 6,000 years ago, let him never disgrace his own self. Don't ever blaspheme or don't ever stand in the presence of anybody. I don't care if he's got a collar on or a robe on or he calls himself father or pastor or what he says. Don't ever stand in the presence of anybody that will tell you that you can open your mind to devils because you've been put on notice by that Bible that you hold in your hand, that the kingdom of God is within you, that Christ is in you, the Father dwells within you. You are the temple of God. That right side of yours is this holy place where God dwells. And if anybody tells you that you could open your mind to devils when Jesus Christ has told you what dwells inside of you, shake the dust off your feet and get out of there, because you are being subjected to blasphemy. That is blasphemy. That's disgracing yourself. But look what it says. For that self is his only friend, yet it may also be his enemy. How could that be? How could that be? You know how it is? If you study Carl Jung or you study Edgar Cayce, you'll find out that your consciousness, your subconscious, is constantly like a lighthouse looking around, picking up everything, picking up everything. It hears everything. It even hears what you say. And you know what? It believes what you say. And when you say or when you tell yourself that you're worthless, it records it a little, and it'll give it back. You listen to that crash that comes over the television that you're nothing but a lion or sinner or a worthless sinner or all this stuff. It listens to it. And it believes it. It'll come. It accepts as true what you say about yourself and what you think about yourself. And it stores it deeper down in its computer. And as they says, it'll print it right up on the computer and give it right back to you. If you put negativity in it, negativity is going to come back. But if you image light and healing, it believes the same thing. Edgar Cayce, when I was studying and reading Edgar Cayce, he told an interesting story. He told the story of a man who took a medicine that science said had shown signs of healing cancer because the guy had cancer, and his cancer went into remission. And someone told him that the Federal Drug Administration said it was worthless, and the cancer came back. And the doctor then told him it really was effective, and he went back into remission. Finally, he himself read an article in a magazine that this stuff was nothing but a placebo. The cancer came back and he died. The mind acted on what it was fed. So you may not believe it, but your consciousness is. But how can this, this is the thing. How could this possibly be? How can this magnificence that you call God, how can this magnificent power that can be your friend and can lift you up into places above all of that, which is the hurt of the mind, how can it be your enemy? Easy. There you are again. Here comes that which we'll call the power of God. And the power of God goes into the higher realms of consciousness. The power of God goes into the lower realms of consciousness. When it goes into the lower realms of consciousness, it is subject to the carnal mind. It's that same power then can be your enemy if you take from here. Because what you're doing when you're taking from the lower mind, you're taking from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Because in that lower mind is good, in that lower mind is evil. And most of the time you can't separate one from the other. And you have to turn then and take from that which is the tree of life, which is in the higher consciousness. And if you take from the tree of life, then you have salvation. But if you take from that which is the lower tree, you can have evil. It can be your enemy, but it's the same power. Remember how we explained it? We've explained this several times. That electricity that's giving you light, in the hands of an electrician, it can light up the building. In my hands, it burned the building down. How come? Because I don't know how to handle the power. That doesn't make the power evil. You see what I'm saying to you? It doesn't make the power evil because it's mishandled. And so here, the same power that can save you can kill you. You don't follow the instructions. If you don't follow the Krishna, you don't follow the Christ, you don't follow the Buddha, you don't have any idea how you're handling this power, and you're mishandling the power, and the power can make you sick. The power can make you, it can kill you. The power can cause all kinds of evil in your home. The power can cause all kinds of evil in your family. Yet it is the same power. It is the power of God. But it is not being used as God instructed you to use it, because the religious teachers that you have chosen to follow have hid from you the fact of that power so that you would follow them. And you have never, ever, ever understood that the same power that can save you and heal you is the same power that made you sick, simply because you didn't know how to handle it. If you go into the ocean or you go into the bay and you drown, it doesn't make the bay evil. It means you went in and consumed yourself in the power of this water and didn't know how to use it, didn't know what to do. Nuclear energy lights up the whole town. In the wrong hands, it'll kill millions in an instant. Doesn't make nuclear power evil. How is it being used? So the same power, which can be your friend, can be your enemy. That's the responsibility that you have to handle that power in the way that Jesus instructed you to handle it, Krishna instructed you to handle it, Buddha instructed you to handle it. Okay. Oh, we did pretty good. And we got up to 60, I guess, 5 or so. And we studied words that came from Krishna thousands and thousands of years ago. And we put them together with words that came from the Bible, some of them less than 2,000 years ago. Still very old. And you see that basically everything that is taught through Krishna, as you find out here, everything that's taught through Buddha, you can confirm. You can confirm by reading it in the Bible. It's all there. But reading is not necessarily what's going to heal you. It's not going to take care of your family. It's not going to make things right. Practicing is this what you heard Krishna speak of? To reach the heights of meditation, you've got to practice it. So you can take everything I said tonight and go, because that's what it amounts to. It means absolutely nothing, because everything that you really need is contained in here and waiting for it to come to life through meditation. And meditation is nothing but you're disciplining yourself to be still. And it will do itself. It will work itself. But it means practice and it means maintaining it. And that's the important thing that you were taught tonight through Krishna. Okay? Thank you for being with us. I'm going to put this up first because we need some help. We had a little bit of difficult times. I need you to consider asking for the monthly envelope. Many of you never have. And I understand that. And if you can't, okay, then you can't. Don't worry about it. But if you can, even a few dollars, for the tapes coming out every month, if you can just consider that. Each month you get a Hidden Meanings teaching in a monthly envelope, and you put